Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for December 11th, 2025. This is season 15, episode number 27, and episode number 541 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. They always say the doldrums of the season start in January or February. Well, I personally think they are going to start this upcoming weekend. That's right. It is the beginning of my least favorite part of the season. 9 straight games against the same two opponents. 4 against the Danbury Hat, and then 5 against the Watertown Wolves. That's right. We'll be playing the end of the calendar year against Watertown and start the beginning of January against the Watertown Wolves. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And Taylor, you just had to know a little bit deep down inside that I was probably going to start off that way because of what we are about to embark over the next 9 games.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure the fans will feel that at some point if they're not already feeling it. It's tough to face the same person over and over and over again. The plus side, it's not that far travel wise. You know, it's not too bad compared to you know all the other traveling that you'd have to do for the league. So that's a positive outlook on it. And I mean, for me, both arenas I'm good with going to if I can get out to them. So overall, it shouldn't be too bad. It's just going to be slightly just redundant of talking about the same people just over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, no doubt. And the funny thing about this is the Black Bears, like you said, at least they're not going to be traveling a lot. You know, they're not going to have those day trips. You know, you're going to be able to do everything before the game starts, whether it be going down to Danbury. Now, of course, the 4 games against Danbury, 3 of them are at home. 1 of them is in Danbury. But when it comes to the Wolves, the 5 games against the Wolves, it's going to be 4 games up in Watertown and only 1 game, which is on Christmas, is on New Year's Eve at the arena. So there are some good aspects maybe to this because of the fact that they're so close. Now, do you think you'll be showing up in Danbury this upcoming Friday?
By the way of Jeremy's work schedule is going, unless a miracle happens, probably not, unfortunately. I would love to. So hopefully, you know, something happens magically with his work and we have the availability to go out there. It would be fun. I would love to. But I would just say right now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you know, and that's Friday is they're in Danbury, and then Saturday they're in Binghamton, and then the weekend after that, it's 2 straight games in Binghamton for them. And I know one of the things that we're going to talk about is Sebastian Resar and how is he going to react to Tyson Kirkby and Zach Sirota. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. But I was kind of surprised about the news of Frankie McClendon not being with the team anymore, because you could say whatever you want about his ability on the ice and skills. I feel like Frankie is a little bit more level-headed than Resar is, and I think that he would have been a benefit to help the young kid because he is a veteran, you know, with his game. I don't know the situation about it, but I was kind of surprised about the departure of Frankie McClendon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were. I mean, he's been in this league for a long time. He's played with several other teams, and he's been with Danbury for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely shocking to see him go. I know, you know, the fans absolutely love him. You know, when he's sitting back up, he's a fun guy to talk to. When he's off the ice, it's a lot of fun over there in that corner. So it'll be interesting because I don't think Wong, because I thought they got rid of Wong, but I guess not. He normally sits on the bench if he's sitting back up, so we don't ever get to have fun with him. And, you know, I don't think Resar would ever sit in the backup corner. I think he'd probably sit on the bench too. He probably wouldn't want to listen to us either. But I'm kind of hoping they play Resar for all of these games just because it's quite fun, honestly.
It'll be entertaining for sure. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. One of the things I did want to bring up pretty quickly, though, is with the return of Mac Jansen. Congratulations, Mac, on your first stint up in the ECHL. With him coming back, Jacob Shankar was put on the 15-day IR for the Binghamton Black Bears. I wasn't sure at first. I have been told that there is a real injury involved that could keep him out for a month. I haven't confirmed that 100% with Brant Sherwood, but it came from a pretty reliable source that was there's a real injury there, and that Jacob will be out for 30 days. When I say a real injury, I mean more of like, oh, I could see why he's on the injured reserve type of injury, right? You know, if you have a hangnail or a stub toe like the NFL, you know, guys in the NFL or baseball, you know, a blister on your finger, you're not throwing the ball. Here in this particular case, it's usually to keep players out. They're usually injured. When they're just hurt or hurting, they usually play. But Jacob Shankar is out. That means at this point, Taylor, we don't have to think about the roster, who's coming, who's going. Pretty much everybody from Sargis to Kyle Steffen are here. Zach Sirota's back. Tyson Kirkby's back. The crew is kind of where I think Brant Sherwood is happy to have them right at the moment.
Yeah, I think, you know, now it's just kind of we're waiting for, you know, Steffen to be ready to go and get him back out on the ice. And then, you know, it'll be really interesting to see the lines and, you know, how well they match up. Because as you said, as, you know, other people in the other fan bases have said, it's such a stacked team. You know, we're all fat and happy over here that it'll just be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what these lines look like in the next, you know, upcoming games when Steffen comes back.
Oh, yes. I love it. And thank you, Chris Paulin.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
It's just a beautiful line. It really is. But yeah, I think what's interesting is when Steph comes in, you could see a line of Kyle Steffen, Zach Sirota, and Austin Thompson as your third line. That's like a first line on any other team in this league.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to think about, but it's also like it'll be really fun to watch out there on the ice.
No, it certainly will be. I think Garrett Sargis is a great addition, obviously, to the team as well. So that's the update there. We know that Jacob Shankar on the 15-day IR. I'm hearing that it could go longer than 15 days. So we'll see what happens there. And I'll try to get a little bit more confirmation to see if the injury is really that serious. We won't tell you what the injury is, folks. I'm sorry, but we just won't do that. But we can at least find out how serious it might be and how long he might be on. All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search the Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. And no guest on this edition of the Power Play Post Show. I did reach out. I did try to make an attempt to get a guest for this particular episode. Things just, kind of happen, and I can't really explain it more than that. Now, I will send this out to the fans. Do you want me to make attempts at getting people from other teams? I could try to do that in the future to try to kind of fill in when we don't have a guest from the Black Bears, because we just can't make it work sometimes. And that's just the way it is. Should I go out and do that? Leave comments. Let me know. Just send out, send a yay, nay, whatever, if you want me to get other people. And if you have a suggestion for a guest, send it my way. I'll try to set it up. I'll try to make it work. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. So, all right, Taylor, one of the conversations I had after Saturday's game was with Austin Thompson. Austin Thompson and Alex Johnson had a few run-ins on Saturday's game specifically. I think it probably happened a little bit on Friday as well. But when I asked Austin Thompson why Alex Johnson had an issue with him, or if he did have an issue with him, he basically said, "I'm the best 25." So I figured I would ask you to do a little bit of the homework on this. And is Austin Thompson the top guy who wears number 25?
Well, the easy answer for that is absolutely just based off of numbers. He is the number 125. And the research that I did was we were going to do the top 5 guys who wear number 25 in this league. And there's actually only 5 of them. So it was actually pretty easy to figure out.
So let's start with number 5.
Number 5, so this person is from PD Ice Cats. It's Jordan Popoff. He's a pro defensive man, and pro just is how many games they've played in the league.
Yes.
So you have your pros, your rookies, your vet. So he's a pro defensive man. In 11 games played, he has no points. He has 23 penalty minutes. His plus minus is -7, and he has 16 shots on goal.
Okay.
Number 4, we have Twin City Thunderbirds, Michael Mania. He's a rookie forward. In 14 games played, he's got 2 goals, 1 assist for 3 points, 4 penalty minutes, a plus minus of -11, and 22 shots on goal.
I will say that we normally don't see people on the Thunderbirds have such a disparity when it comes to their plus minus, to see, because usually the Thunderbirds are a lot like the Black Bears, a lot of guys in the plus on their plus minus, and that's a -11. That was a little surprising when I read that when you sent that to me.
Yeah, that one definitely shocked me. I mean, I know the Thunderbirds aren't having the best start to their year so far, but it's still, yeah, you're just looking at the numbers and you're thinking to yourself, that's just so much different than last year. In third, we have Watertown Wolves, Brad Ritter, who is a pro forward. In 17 games played, he has 3 goals, 8 assists for 11 points. He's got 13 penalty minutes, a plus minus of -6, and 16 shots on goal.
Wow.
Now, the big news, in second, we have the Port Huron Prowlers, Alex Johnson, who is a vet defensiveman. In 20 games played, he's got 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points.
Not bad.
He's got 40 penalty minutes. His plus minus is +1, and he's got 56 shots on goal. And, of course, our number 1, Binghamton Black Bears, Austin Thompson, who's a pro forward. In 18 games played, he's got 13 goals, 12 assists for 25 points. He has 8 penalty minutes, a plus minus of +14, which I believe ranks in the high part of the whole league, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
And he's got 80 shots on goal.
Pretty impressive. So obviously just a little bit of a kind of a joke remark to me from Austin Thompson kind of, made us go in there. I'm surprised there's only 5 people in the league that I think it was 5, right? You notice only 5 people that wear the number 25 in the league, right?
There are technically 6, but the one on Danbury is an inactive player that hasn't played any games. So
interesting. So literally just 5 guys. So we ranked the top 5 guys. And I would say that, Alex Johnson's not having a bad season, right? He's got 5 goals, 14 assists. He's 19 points for a defenseman, 40 penalty minutes. But we know they're a rough and tumble kind of team over there in Port Huron. But clearly, Austin Thompson last year had a decent amount of goals and assists. He was the number 1 goal scorer for Binghamton last year. I don't know, Alex Johnson. I think Austin is right. He is the best 25 in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this kind of puts that to rest, and it's just kind of just a funny way to look at it, and something that you could bring up the next time you see Alex Johnson when Port Huron comes back into town, or if you just want to kind of rattle their brains a little bit, just some fun.
Oh my God. What would be funny is if someone brought a sign to one of the next games at the arena when Port Huron is there and says, hey, number 25, ours is the better 25, or something to that effect. That would just be hilarious.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a sign. I'm sure of it.
And if someone does make a sign, please come up and see me so I can take a picture of that sign. I would love to do that because it would be nice for us to do that. So we kind of teased this next segment, this little conversation that we're going to have a little bit at the beginning. So I wanted to bring up and talk about because they decided that Sebastian Resar, who I think is probably going to be their number one, going throughout this year here. If I look at his numbers, he's 7-2-1 with a 3.06 goals against average. Not bad. Obviously, is kind of ballooned up a little bit since playing the Black Bears. And he's got a 928 save percentage. My question, because you brought this up a lot when we did play Danbury the last time, and Resar was in goal and had some issues, and basically kind of like his mental fortitude kind of like wasn't as strong as I would hope it would be. And this is why I thought Frankie McClendon would be a perfect person to help him get through this, is how will he react to Tyson Kirkby and Zach Sirota in front of him for this upcoming weekend? Because he didn't see Tyson or Zach, and we know that they're pests. They're both pests. I know we've named Zach Sirota the Rat, but Tyson Kirkby can be just as pesky and pesty in front of the net as Zach Sirota can be. And if there's any two guys in this league that I think do it in a way that it's not like they're not trampling on the goaltender, but man, they are right there. They're right in front of the goaltender. Tyson and Zach are this. So this weekend, the Black Bears and the Hat Tricks meet for a home-and-home series, but this is the first two games that the Hat Tricks and netminder Sebastian Resar will have Tyson Kirkby and Zach Sirota in front of him. If he plays one of or both of these games, will he be able to handle the Black Bears captain and the Black Bears Rat in front of him? Let's start there. Taylor, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely. There's not even a doubt in my mind that he is not going to be okay. And the perfect example is if you look at Port Huron's game, and Reed Cooper, he's not like, his mental fortitude is not nearly as bad as Resar. And he was getting heated because Tyson purposely kept doing little things that don't impact the game at all, but he would skate through his crease, or he would go behind him, or he would say something to him as he walked or skated by. Just little things that can really just, he's just, like, as you said, a pest to a netminder.
Yeah.
Just those little things. And Resar does not have the mental fortitude, especially against the Black Bears, because according to the Danbury fans, they did not see this side of Resar until he played Binghamton. So he's already like that with us, and he has not gone against Tyson or Sirota. There's not a doubt in my mind that he will not be able to handle it whatsoever.
And what's interesting is you bring up Reed Cooper, and I do want to stress that I think that Reed was being affected by these two guys being in there, but with the way he played on the second night, which was so much better than the first night, he didn't have the breakdown that Resar did. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. He definitely didn't. And that's the whole reason that I brought it up, is that, Cooper had the fortitude to take these guys. The first game, it was a little rough. I mean, he got pulled. It's definitely, that's going to rattle your head probably more than anything. To get pulled after letting 5 goals? Was it 4 or 5?
It was 5 goals. And what's interesting is you would think that, maybe Reed Cooper was affected by it, because when he came off the bench, when he came out of the game, he actually went to the bench, and he didn't go to the corner like other people. Now, maybe that was a smart move by Reed Cooper. You get pulled, and you go sit in that corner where the backup sits, and the Binghamton fans are just going to be on you, right? They're just going to be on Reed. And he went actually to the bench, and then he kind of bent over the bench, and there's actually video and pictures of him just kind of bending over. And I think he's probably just thinking, holy crap, I just got my ass kicked. But he came back the next night, and he played well. We made mention of that on our Sunday show, that we thought Reed Cooper played well. Even though the Black Bears won 3-1, we really did think that he had a good game. That's the difference between he and Resar in this situation.
Well, and I also think, Cooper's been called up. He's gone to a different league. He's played elsewhere. And Resar is
young.
He's young, and he's fairly new to playing this pro part. And I think that's also a really big, factor, is that Cooper can take a bad game and come out the next day and play completely different. Where Resar, I don't know if he has the ability yet to take a bad game and then come out and be completely different the next game and act like it never happened. Because that's a hard thing to do. It's hard. If you take a loss, and especially like a bad one, it's hard to forget that game and move on, especially when you have one the next day. It's not as bad if like you win Friday but lose Saturday, then you have an entire week before you have to think about it again. Where if you lose Friday and you have to go right back into it Saturday, you have to transition. And I don't think Resar has that ability, because I think, and I mentioned this before, I think he has a cocky attitude that he's young enough and he makes, good saves or great saves or decent saves, or, he's out there and he's doing the things that he needs to do. But when you start scoring on him, it's almost like the cockiness gets in the way. And I don't think he has the ability to turn that off, to turn around and play differently the next game.
So let me ask you this. Does it matter, or why does it matter, that Tyson and Zach get into the head of Resar?
Well, because it's a huge part of the game. It makes such an impact to the game because, they always say that, it's not just on the goalie, that you have an entire team in front of you. But when you have, the opposing team constantly battling with your goalie by getting in his head, by doing little things to, they plant themselves right in front of him. And now you're battling. You've got 2 defensive men on this guy trying to get him away from your goalie. Then you've got 3 other guys that are trying to block a shot. It's very much the mentality to deal with all of that happening right in front of you. And when you have a goalie like Resar who can't handle that, it makes it a lot easier for your guys to get in there and score, which just makes your whole night easier in general.
I think it's one of the things that I'm going to be looking at a lot in these 2 games. I know the one game we'll obviously be watching on YouTube, and the other game we'll actually be in attendance for, but it's going to be something I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be seeing, especially if he's in goal. I don't know if he'll get both games, so I'm guessing he's going to get at least one of the games, but it's definitely going to be one of the aspects of these games this upcoming weekend that I'll be looking at.
Well, and I also think even if Tyson wasn't playing the role of trying to do something to get into his head, Tyson also has that ability to get those really nitty-gritty, dirty goals.
Yes.
And quite frankly, I think even if Tyson did that, where he got one of those goals that makes people like just jump for joy and scratch their head going, how in the hell did he do that?
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think either if Tyson plays his role of not trying to score, but just being a pest, it's going to get in his head. But I also think if Tyson does score because of the way that he scores, it's still going to get in his head.
Yeah.
I truly don't think that Resar is ready for Tyson, and I don't think he's ready for Sirota.
Yeah, definitely not. And the funny thing is here's the thing, and maybe it's just me, and I got to maybe go back and look at some of the stuff that Zach does. I don't see Zach doing a lot, but then I see Zach getting attacked a lot by opposing players like defensemen and goaltenders. And I'm like going, why are they doing that to Zach? But he has to be doing something. Now, you see him closer up than I do because of where you sit at the arena. What is it that Zach is actually doing in front of the goaltenders or near the goaltenders that gets the defensemen of that team usually there to knock Zach down? What is it that I am missing that I don't see?
Truthfully, I wish that I had an answer for you, but I really don't, because anytime that I see Zach, he's just screening the goalie, that he's just standing in front of the goalie. And the defensive men, even though Zach's not a big guy, although he changed his number to make himself look bigger, he's not a big guy. And somehow these defensive men have such a hard time getting him away from the goalie or getting him to move. That's why there's always so much pushing and shoving, because Zach just takes it and he doesn't move. And it's so funny. And I think that's part of the reason that he gets attacked so often, is because he literally is a brick wall that does not move.
And remember, we've talked about this before. Austin Thompson, when he was planted in front of the goaltender, used to take a beating. And now Zach is the guy who really takes a beating a lot in front of the net.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I really enjoy watching. I kind of missed that from Thompson, just because I really enjoyed watching these guys get so heated and watching him just kind of like smile and skate away and go back to the bench. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about Thompson, and it'll probably never change. He just seems so like calm on the ice. It's hysterical to me.
It's the way he is in real life. To be honest, it really is. He's very laid back. He doesn't, Don Oliveri and Tyson kind of pick on him in text messages, and he just shrugs it off. He just shrugs it off. He really does. It's the Canadian in him. I really think that they're just too nice. He's too nice, and he just shrugs it off. All right. Well, it's going to be interesting. So obviously, folks, look out to see what Tyson and Zach do, especially if Resar plays. I think it's going to be a big part of the game. I do wonder, though, a little bit if Johnny Ruiz, who's kind of like the vet, the older statesman on that team, even though he's not that old, so I'm not calling Johnny Ruiz old by any means. I wonder if he can have a conversation with Sar and kind of keep him in the game a little bit. It'll be very interesting. Either way, it's probably the most interesting thing going into this weekend. And I have to find things, folks. I really do at this point. If it's going to be 4 games against Danbury, I don't know what I'm going to do with Watertown. I'm just going to make up like things that probably don't exist just to make it interesting for me. But Taylor, let's move on because we are actually a third of the way through the season. I don't know if folks realize that, but we are. So let's talk a little bit about the remaining part of this schedule.
It's kind of sad to think that we're already a third of the way done.
I know.
The Black Bears have played 19 games and have 37 more to go in the regular season, which means, as Bobby just mentioned, 1/3 of the regular season is completed.
It's crazy, isn't that? Isn't it?
It's so weird.
It is.
I feel like it was just yesterday that we were so excited for the season to finally start, and now look at us.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're still talking about the roster. I mean, I didn't think that was still going to be a thing.
Well, I mean, with the way the FPHL set up, the roster, obviously it can take a month and a half just to kind of resolve itself a little bit and go, okay, here's our team.
So which teams are left on the schedule and how many games against those teams? Probably the 2 most disappointing ones right off the bat for Bobby here. Watertown Wolves, we've got 2 home and 10 away. So that's probably the most disappointing one right there is we only have 2 more home games against Watertown and 10 away. But, Watertown isn't too far away, so it shouldn't be that bad. The Wolves' win percentage is .353.
Yeah.
Danbury Hat Tricks, we've got 6 home games and 5 away. So that one's a little more even, and still Danbury's not too bad.
Yeah.
Their win percentage is .491. Next, we have Twin City Thunderbirds. We've got 2 home and 2 away. Their win percentage is .354. Then we have PD Ice Cats. We've got 2 home against the Ice Cats, and their win percentage is .479.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Indiana Sentinels. We've got 2 home, 2 away. Their win percentage is .148, and I do think that's going to change. Mm-hmm. I think they're, finally starting to get into their own there.
Yeah, they got two wins now. 2 wins now for Indiana. They got their second win this past weekend. So I agree with you. I think by time, because these are in order of the next time we play them. So obviously with us playing 9 games against Watertown and Danbury, we got 2 games against Twin City, another weekend against Watertown before we even get to PD, and then Indiana's after that. So I think by time that happens in February, I think it is, I think the Indiana Sentinels win percentage will be up a little bit further.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. I think they're finally starting to kind of get into a groove, and it'll be interesting to compare, their win percentage when we go to face them again compared to what it is now. Port Huron, we've got 2 more home games and 2 more away. Their win percentage is .55.
Mm-hmm. And that's the best right there. Out of all the teams that we have left to play, Port Huron has the best winning percentage at basically 55% at this point.
Which is just crazy, especially with, when they play their style of hockey, they seem to do all right. And then when they don't play their style of hockey, they don't seem to do that good.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to watch the dynamic for Port Huron play.
It is. They might be the most interesting team. This is going to sound weird. Outside of Binghamton, they might be the most interesting team just because the dynamic of the team is so crazy. Like they can play so reckless and so loose and be in the penalty box 100 times and then literally still be good enough to win the game. And then when they're not in the penalty box a lot, they seem to not have the style or the talent to win. It's just an odd. It's very interesting though.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like they play better when they have less people on the ice, which is just crazy to think about. Because if you're like, oh, well, if we put 3 Black Bears in the penalty box, we're like, on the edge of our seat waiting for, something bad to happen.
Yeah.
Where Port Huron's like, yeah, put them all in there. I mean, we'll take one guy. It'll be fine. And they somehow make it work. And it's so crazy.
I want to see a penalty shot type of situation where it's just Austin Thompson and Alex Johnson and then the goaltender, and that's it. I want to see if Tomer can beat him, like on a rush like that.
You'd have to find like a middle goaltender, like not theirs or ours. You'd have to find like somebody else, so that way you could put them both against the same goaltender and truly see who's the better one.
Well, no.
That would be interesting.
What I'm saying is I want to see against the Prowlers, Austin come into the zone by himself, and there's just him and Alex Johnson, and then whoever their goaltender is at the time, maybe it's Reed Cooper, whoever, right? And he has to beat Alex Johnson to get to the goaltender to score a goal. I want to see that happen just to see if he can beat Alex Johnson on the ice. Now, granted, Johnson is bigger. He's a bigger boy than Austin Thompson is, but I want to see it happen.
It would definitely be interesting, but I feel like, and we might be a little bit biased, but I think we know who would come out on top. Okay. All righty. So the Black Bears obviously have the best win percentage in the league with a .877.
Yep.
There are 21 remaining games on the road. Oof. And 16 games remaining at home.
Yeah, that number is going to continue to get smaller because after we play Danbury this Friday, we'd knock off 3 more of those home games right in a row before we even get to Christmas. So once we get past the next 4 games against Danbury, 3 of them are at home. After that, we've got 13 home games remaining. That's kind of sucky.
That's definitely that's the downside of about how our schedule went this year. But on the plus side, after we get through this month, it's going to be a little less Watertown and Danbury all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And speaking of that, a very large chunk of the away games are Watertown with 10 and Danbury with 5. So 15 of our 21.
Oh. Isn't it horrible when I write this stuff down and we have to read it out loud and go, oh, God, that's just like awful.
I mean, on the plus side, Danbury should keep us pretty entertained. Watertown, that's just going to be a rough one. It's 10. That's going to be rough.
Yeah, but it's 10 of those are up in Watertown and only 2 left here in Binghamton. I guess I'm okay with it. I actually feel bad though for Binghamton and the broadcast team because that's 10 more games that they might have to do remote or not even broadcast. I don't know what they'll do, but I mean, it's 10 games that they might have to stay at the arena to broadcast them because, Watertown. Now, I'd heard that they're trying to make headway up there. The owner of the Port Huron Prowlers is trying to work with Watertown and the arena and the team to try to get better internet capabilities up there because the guy is in the tech field. So the guy who owns the Port Huron Prowlers and the Motor City Rockers, he's a tech guy. That's basically what he does. It's what he's made his money on. And he's trying to, because Will Wiggleman does a great job at broadcasting as well. And they want him to be able to go up there and broadcast and do what they need to do. But of course, we all know Watertown doesn't have the facilities, the infrastructure to basically have just proper internet. So, yeah. So hopefully that changes soon because, Binghamton does have 10 more games up there in Watertown. And we've already played Watertown 5 times this year, right? And we got 12 more games against them and 10 of them up there. I'm going to stop repeating that because it's just going to put me in a very horrible mood.
Oh, well, I mean, we could just move on if it helps. We're still going to be talking about Danbury and Watertown.
Yeah, we can move on from there. Listen, all right, we're going to take a small break, and when we come back, we are going to preview 2 games against the Danbury Hat Tricks. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Chris Paulin. I appreciate that. Welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. So, Taylor, we need to kind of start breaking down this home and home series. Now, I believe we're going to mention it in this segment, but this is the third home and home that we have against Danbury this year. Probably a couple more coming up, but it feels like we've seen them a lot. And I'm not saying that to harp back on the schedule again. It just does feel like we've seen Danbury a lot already.
Yeah, I do agree with that. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad that this season seems so different with the teams that facing Danbury does not feel like facing Danbury from last season or the season before.
Right. Where
like it doesn't seem as intense. It doesn't seem stressful. Like the rivalry isn't as strong. I wouldn't say it's not there, but it definitely doesn't seem like it's as strong.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. It's not as stressful to go into those games for some reason. It feels like that stress has gone over to the Port Huron Prowlers when we face them.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree with you there.
All right, let's get going.
So previewing Danbury versus Binghamton, the home and home series, the Black Bears have played 5 games so far this season, and the Black Bears hold victories in all 5 of those games. On October 17th in Binghamton, a win 6-3. That is a very important number to remember. October 18th in Danbury, a 3-0 shutout for CMAC. November 21st in Binghamton, a 6-3 win, a Mac Jansen hat trick. November 22nd in Danbury, a 5-1 win, 2 goals for Austin Thompson. And November 26th in Binghamton, a 6-3 win, a Stubbs and DeRazio with hat tricks.
Wow. So basically what she's trying to say, and was hoping that you picked up on that, so far 3 games in Binghamton, and they are 6-3 wins for the Binghamton Black Bears.
Which is crazy, and 2 of them had 3 shutouts.
You know, that means
3 shutouts, 3 hat tricks.
3 hat tricks.
Confusing myself.
And the other thing that we can look at here, they've only given up 1 goal in Danbury to the Danbury hat tricks. That's an awesome stat, actually, if you think about it. You know, they had the 3-0 shutout in Danbury, and then the 5-1 victory in Danbury. That's kind of impressive. We could go down into Danbury and only allow 1 goal in 2 games.
It's a lot easier on the fan base, too. I mean, half of them left anyways, but it makes it a lot easier to walk around there and be pretty proud of your team when, you know, their team's like, wow, we're really bad again this year.
Yeah, the November 22nd game, right? It was the November 22nd game where everybody kind of left early, and there were Binghamton fans sitting up in the sections that normally Binghamton fans or any other fans wouldn't be allowed to sit in.
Yeah, they'll welcome you to sit in that section. They're pretty, they are rowdy, but it's just against the bench. They will let you sit there. I'm pretty sure we actually have Binghamton fans that do sit there on a regular. That's the first away game that we went to so far this year. But yeah, they not even 5 minutes into the second period, and they were out of there quicker than nothing. And that whole section was empty, and we decided we filled it up the best we could. There's not a lot of Binghamton fans that go, but you know, this here, if you want to go to Danbury, now is the time. It clears out pretty quick.
Clears out pretty quick. I love that. And you know, like you said, I mean, most of the fans there are very cordial and nice. I think it's kind of funny when you hear some of the loudmouths on the internet talking about, oh, I had this bad experience here, I had this bad experience here. You know, people do come to Binghamton and have bad experiences as well, because we have drunken idiots sometimes turn around and start yelling at people, and they don't realize, oh, wait a second here. Oh, that's the visiting away teams, and you're making an impression on them, right? You know, just like Danbury maybe has made an impression on some fans that have come from Watertown, or if it was Delaware when the Thunder were in town or still playing in the league, or if it was Binghamton, or maybe, you know, Port Huron, some of their fans coming in. You know, you do make an impression when you yell at visiting teams fans when they come in. So you kind of want to be friendly, respectful, and then still have the rivalry too.
Oh yeah, and you know, every time that we've gone to Danbury, we've never had any issues. We've never had an issue going anywhere else. I think the worst I ever had was I went to a Myra one time and the fans were pretty rowdy and saying some pretty harsh things. But you take it like a grain of salt. It's a hockey game. It's not, to the fans, you really want your team to win. It's really nothing more than that.
But do you guys...
during intermissions, the Danbury people, they will come up to you, they will talk to you, they will spend the entire intermission with you, just chatting about your drive in, how your team is doing, or just, whatever. So honestly, if the, several years ago, the playoff game in Danbury is the reason you will not go to Danbury, that's fine. But to constantly, go and hash out that, oh, well, their fans are just horrible. It's not like that. You might see it on the video if you can see the group that sits right behind the bench. They are very loud. They are very rowdy, but they only say things to the players on the bench, and it's usually not anything that bad. If you actually go to the game, you will actually see Brant Sherwood laughing his butt off just standing on the bench because the things that are happening are just funny. It really, like, he was actually hiding his face the one time laughing because he was just laughing so hard. And I don't know if he didn't want people on the ice to see it or not, but he was hiding his face and just laughing his butt off.
That's funny. I do know that one of the, the good things about, you and Jeremy is a longtime hockey fan, and, going to Binghamton games as well, there's a little bit of an experience. You don't go into somebody else's barn and just act like an idiot. When you do, that's when you are really going to take it on the chin in a lot of cases. And I think Jeremy probably has already that experience in his bag, like I do.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, yeah. He's never acted like a fool. The only time I will say that he was probably a little bit silly was last year when we went to Blue Ridge for 2 of the 3 games there.
Well,
and he took the championship flag and waved it. I mean, we won both of those games, so it wasn't that bad. And we weren't there for the really bad game. But I remember somebody watching from home had posted a picture and was like, who was that ballsy to take the championship flag and wave it at somebody else's arena? And I was like, yeah, that was him. And he even asked me, he's like, should I do it? And I'm like, it's up to you. I'm not the one waving it. But yeah, that's probably the only thing he's ever done that's been slightly questionable. But we weren't there for the Sunday game where it got bad, but it was still a lot of fun. And we had fun with the people that were sitting next to us in those games. But yeah, if you go to somebody else's arena, just be respectful, cheer your team if you want to, sit and do nothing if you want to. Yeah. But honestly, if you get a chance to get to know some of the fans, it's really worth it. They are, there's a lot of great fans everywhere, and it's a lot of fun to make friends in other arenas, because then when you go again, you're looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah.
And it just makes it more fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had people, even though Binghamton and Wilkes-Barre had such a heated rivalry, the Penguins and the Senators there were people that I went there that I look forward to. Now, of course, I was working media and everything, but there was people there that I looked forward to saying hello to and seeing how they were doing. Them seeing my hair get long from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. I'm sure that was something that they enjoyed seeing, because it seems to happen every year. My hair starts off short at the beginning of the season and then gets longer. This year, I might have started off a little bit longer than I usually do, but that's just the way it is. I don't like going to the hairdresser or the barber. You got to get in a car, and then you got to drive, and then you got to sit and wait, at the place, and then you get in the chair, and then you have to make small talk, and and then you have to pay them, and then you have to drive all the way back again. Why do people do that? That's just crazy.
I just realized you would never survive as a woman.
That's probably true. That is 100% completely true. All right, let's continue on with our preview.
So this will be the 3rd weekend this season that the 2 teams will play in both arenas in the same weekend. The Black Bears are 17-2-0 with 50 points, first in the Empire Division. They have scored 95 goals and have only allowed 45. The Hat Tricks are 9-8-2 with 28 points, fourth in the Empire Division. They have scored 73 goals and have only allowed 69. The Black Bears are on an 8-game winning streak and just defeated the Port Huron Prowlers last weekend, 9-1 on Friday and 3-1 on Saturday. The Hat Tricks come into the weekend on a 4-game winning streak, defeating last weekend the Blue Ridge Bobcats on Friday 6-3 and on Saturday 4-2.
Yeah, and obviously someone's streak is going to end on Friday night in Danbury, whether it's going to be Binghamton's 8-game winning streak or the Hat Trick's 4-game winning streak. It's going to come to an end at some point. I have a hard time, like right now, like picking like the Black Bears to lose a game. And I don't know if that's fair or not to put that kind of pressure on them. I know they put that kind of pressure on themselves, but at this point going through, and unless we go and play against Port Huron, I feel comfortable playing against most of these teams.
I truly think that's how, I think that's partially how the team itself feels, but I also think that's how the fans feel as well. And, jumping back to the beginning of the season, and I kind of throw you under the bus about it all the time, but, you started off saying, could we possibly be any better than we were last year? And, I said, of course, just because I'm optimistic and I probably always will be.
Yep.
But you were like, realistically, like, I don't know if it could be any better. And then, we're watching the roster change and we're watching the way the team has performed. And it just seems like they're constantly out there to be better.
So let me ask you this question. We have 9 games again against Watertown and against Danbury coming up. And so far we're 10-0 against those guys, right? I believe we've won all 5 games against both teams. So we're 10-0 against them. And we're on an 8-game winning streak, and we have 9 games straight against them before we go down to Winston-Salem to play against the Twin City Thunderbirds. Are we possibly looking at 17 straight games?
I don't think it's unrealistic to say.
Really?
It's hard for me. Like, of course, I want to say yes with an absolute certainty. But I also know realistically, it is very hard to face somebody over and over and over again, back to back to back.
Right.
And constantly come out with a win. But I don't know. I do think that it really could be possible.
But it's hard to bet against them, right? It's like really hard to bet against the Black Bears to not win these next 9 games. Now, of course, they have to do it. They have to get their skates on the ice and actually do it. But when we look at the teams that they're going to be playing against, it's just like, well, they've already handled them pretty well. I mean, sure, Danbury has scored 9 goals in 3 home games in 3 games here in Binghamton, but I don't know. I'm almost wondering, are we almost foreshadowing the potential of a 17-game winning streak? Now, remember last year they had an 18-game winning streak, which got broken obviously down in Blue Ridge. So it's interesting to think, are we looking at foreshadowing? And I don't want to like jinx anybody. I'm not, knock on wood or whatever. You can throw salt over your shoulder or whatever weird tradition you have, but I'm just wondering if we're looking at it.
Yeah, I truly don't think it's unrealistic to say.
Okay.
Just based off of how the season has gone so far, and the reason that I say that is because we've gone this many games and we're constantly like, is this even their best game?
Yeah.
We're not even sure if they're playing their best hockey yet, and they're still going out there and winning.
Yeah.
So if they continue to improve, or if they continue to go out there and to make a point, I don't think it's unrealistic. I really don't.
Okay, so the Black Bears are led by...
They found a way to fit all those guys in the salary cap, which I'm impressed with. It's a great job by them.
CJ Stubbs with 19 games played. You knew I had to use that again, right? The salary cap one. It's great. I love it. So CJ Stubbs, 19 games played, 12 goals, 26 assists for 38 points, 5 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 6 game-winning goals. He had another game-winning goal this past weekend. Ivan Bondarenko, 19 games played, 7 goals, 26 assists for 33 points, 1 power play goal. He is still one of my favorite players on the ice to watch. I don't know about you, but I love watching Yvonne work and dish the puck off to somebody who's going to score a goal. It is awesome to watch.
I definitely agree. The only heartbreaking thing is when he sets up something so beautifully, but then somebody's not on the other side. It breaks my heart because watching him come in, and he, like, if there was somebody there, you're going to get set up beautifully. He's got 26 assists It's just, he's so good at setting people up, and it's just, it is a beauty to watch.
It is. Gavin Yates, 17 games played, 14 goals, 15 assists for 29 points. Maybe having his best season so far as a Black Bear. 7 power play goals already, and we're only a third away through the season. 1 game-winning goal. Connor McAnanama at goal, 9-1-0. He had the weekend off. He only was the backup in Saturday's game. A 2.49 goals against average and a 900 save percentage. I expect him to play either one or both of the games this weekend against Danbury. Dominic Tumay, I'm going to add him in here now. He's 6-1, 6-1-0 with a 1.87 goals against average and a 937 save percentage. And let's be honest, when he's been in net, especially the last 4 games where he's only given up 1 goal per game, he's been outstanding.
Yeah, I definitely think he's fitting in just fine here in Binghamton. The fans absolutely love watching him out there. And it's so hard. Like, you know, you look at our goalies and you go into a game and you're like, oh, I wonder what goalie they're going to put in, because it's not they're definitely putting him in because he's our best goalie.
Yeah.
We have 3 great goalies. Yeah. Like, you could honestly put any one of the 3 in and you could still have the confidence to say we're winning this game. Yeah. And it's one of the great things about, you know, being all fat and happy over here. But
yeah, I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
And because we are. But I agree with you. There's no worry about goaltending. I'm 100% confident in all 3 of those guys that they put in there. Okay. The hat tricks are led by Alexander Legoff. 19 games played, 16 goals, 18 assists for 34 points. He's really having a Black Bears type of season for him over there. He's probably been their best player on the ice. Johnny Ruiz, 14 games played, 9 goals, 9 assists, 18 points, Mr. Consistency, 3 goals on the power play. Austin Belfay, I think that's how you pronounce it. I did look it up. 19 games played, 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points, 1 power play goal. And of course, we've already talked about him a lot on the show, and we'll probably talk about him on Sunday's show a lot as well. Sebastian Resar, 7 wins, 2 losses, 1 overtime loss, a 3.06 goals against average, and a 928 save percentage. He's got good numbers, so he's doing okay. And then on the special teams, on the power play, ranked first for Binghamton, 33 power play goals, 27%. On the PK, ranked first, 8 power play goals against, 91% kill rate. I mean, they are just killing it on the penalty kill. Danbury power play is ranked 9th with 16 power play goals, 16%, and then on the PK, ranked 7th with 17 power play goals against. They're killing their power play or the penalty kills 82% of the time. I again, like against Port Huron, I think special teams are going to come down to something. If Danbury gets put in the box, the Black Bears are going to score power play goals. Last weekend, the Black Bears scored 3 on Friday night, 3 on Saturday night. They had 6 power play goals. They gave up no power play goals. I really do think that every team that plays against the Black Bears has to be careful about the, going into the box.
Yeah, Port Huron's coach had even talked about, if you give them enough opportunities, they're going to score, and our numbers are showing that. Even if we're in the box, they're doing a phenomenal job, on the penalty kill. Yeah. And it truly does seem like every game is just getting slightly better in one area or another. Mm-hmm. And it truly is incredible to watch this team just absolutely come together. And you're out there and you know what the lineup's like when they start the game, and then you look out there and you're like, oh well, Yates is out there with Sirota and Thompson's on the third line. You're watching all this stuff and you're like, well, why is they mix up the lines here and there, and it's just everybody meshes so well on this team and they all perform so well together. It's a lot of fun to watch. It truly is. Taylor,
before we go into the must reads, let me ask you this question. Now that you've done probably 30 episodes, maybe more than that, maybe it's closer to, it's about 30 episodes of doing the show and writing the Impact Players Report. Do you look at the game differently now than you did, say, 3 years ago before you even joined the Power Play Post Show?
Oh, for sure. When I first started coming to the hockey games, I knew absolutely nothing. I will be completely honest. I still learn a lot. I ask a lot of questions. Steve McAnanima has been phenomenal to me. He's been so nice to me the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad for that friendship and the availability that I have to just reach out to him and talk about anything. It's such a help. But if you had looked at me 3 years ago when I started watching, I would have had no idea what to talk about. And I remember the very first Impact player that I went to write about, I was like, I had no idea what I was going to write. I didn't know how to write it. I didn't even know what to do. And now it comes so easy.
Yeah.
And you almost know, like, when somebody's out there on the ice, you're like, well, I know I'm going to have to write about this, because it's just, there are certain things that happen in the game where you're just like, the fans get involved for certain things. And it helps me to know, like, all right, this is something that, it did something.
Yeah. It meant something to the game, right?
And I've talked about it time after time after time again, that it is so hard for me to choose just 3 people. And like, it's gotten to the point where I almost try to base it off the same kind of thing. So if I'm going to base it off of, well, Stubbs and Durazio had hat tricks, and I need to go with somebody else who had a lot of points. And I kind of base it off of that, just so I can have like a similar feel for the whole thing.
Right.
Whereas, if it's not about the points, then I don't want to choose somebody that got points, just because I want to, put shine on somebody that didn't have points on the night if they
worked hard.
it.
Right. Like, and that was one of the things that always frustrated me about the stars of the game. Sometimes it's just not done right. Sometimes they're missing out an opposing team member who might have had 2 goals and 1 assist, but they gave it to somebody who had like 1 assist. Like, okay, fine. I can understand if you did that for some reason or another, but it almost seemed like, I was like, oh, well, we just don't want their guys to get a star. And then I thought to myself, well, wait a second here. There's also times when there's guys that make an impact in the game. It might be a timely fight at the end of a second period, and then your team comes back out in the third period and you score 3 goals to tie the game and win the game, right? That type of thing. And well, maybe that fight meant that something. Maybe that guy's big check or big hit meant something, or maybe a block in front of your goaltender really saved the game. And no, it's not a save that's registered. And in this league, they don't register blocked shots, but it might be important. And that's kind of the emphasis I wanted to have. Yeah, every once in a while, one of our impact players is going to be Austin Durazio, who scored 3 goals in a game, right? But at the same time, there are other people on the team that make such an impact as well.
Oh, yeah. And it's literally the hardest part of my job, of choosing people, because at any given point, you could write about, Zach Sirota because of the way that he played in front of the net, or you could write about, Tyson coming back for his first game. And although he didn't get a point, he actually made a huge impact on the ice just because of what he does in front of the netminder. Mm-hmm. And it's been a lot of fun to kind of shed light on the things that, other fans are seeing, or maybe they aren't seeing. Cause I've had that, a lot of the comments are people saying, oh, well, I didn't notice that, or I'm so glad that you brought that up because I did notice that. And I really enjoy the fan interaction on the Impact Players post. Yeah. Kelly, I love her to death. She always has to, she's always got a comment about, other people that, I could have written about, and I very well could have. It's very hard for me to, I actually, during the game, I'll write, 10 players down at any given time. And I have to sit there and decide, okay, well, who am I going to write about? And for a while there, it was Ivan Bondarenko. I constantly wrote about him, and he truly deserved it. Well, and it's been a lot of fun.
Even last year during the playoffs, and at the end of the regular season, there was, 1 or 2 people that you spoke about a lot in the Impact Players Report, because, maybe at that time they were having that kind of an impact, and sometimes they weren't getting a lot of points, but these were people that you could bring them up and talk about and point out areas in their game that was very good. You've done a great job. The growth has been awesome. I can tell you, Steve and I probably both agree on this. The growth from just last year to this year, and how you speak about the game and how you write about the game, has been impressive.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to give credit to Steve. If it wasn't for him, probably none of this would have happened. But I definitely didn't see. I definitely didn't see any of this happening, but it's been a lot of fun, and I've truly really enjoyed it, and it's been a blast. Absolutely.
All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search for Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything binghamtonhockey.net. Or just go to binghamtonhockey.net for everything Binghamton Hockey. Thank you to Rob Lupolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our music director, and of course to Chris Paulin.
And I think it's nice that they're very fat and happy over there.
I'm Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.